What's up, my peeps? It's Cynthia, the Fitness and Wellness Bully here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about why I chose a vegan lifestyle. Now, I first want to give this disclaimer that this is not a video to try and convert people into becoming vegan and all that stuff. This is just about why I took that journey and decided to stick with it. So, I have been vegan for 16 years. That's right, I said 16. That's before everybody and their baby's mama decided to be vegan. It's a little serious joke because it seems like everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, which I'm glad because we have more choices of things to eat, but I digress. So, I want to back up before 16 years ago. Years ago, I would say maybe 30 years ago, there was this surge of mad cow disease, and I was like, I'm not eating beef anymore because of that. So I had stopped eating beef, steak, and all that wonderful stuff that you guys like, like 30 years ago. Never even missed it. And then I would go on these little off and on, I won't eat pork, I'll eat pork, I won't eat pork, I'll eat pork. And then eventually, and I loved seafood. I didn't like salmon, but I loved orange roughy fish because it really wasn't that fishy. I would eat shrimp, calamari, crab legs, and lobster, things of that nature. But then I started noticing, I would eat like deli meat as well. But I started noticing that my body kind of felt like something was not right with these products anymore. So for instance, if I would go to like a sandwich shop, and a lot of times they'll give you just a lot of meat, and that's what everyone wants, right? But I found myself, whenever I bit into it, it was just this weird taste and something that I just didn't like, to the point where if my friends and I would go to a sandwich shop, I would pull out like half the meat because it was just something about it that was just a little too much, okay? And then I started noticing when I was eating seafood, especially shrimp, the taste and the texture just seemed different. So I feel as though my body kind of knew something was going on with the food industry and how they have, added hormones to the foods. There's a lot of pollutants in the oceans and all that stuff, but I'm not going to get into any of that. And so I think my body just kind of knew something wasn't up. So I was still eating chicken, but even then, before they made the little thin cutlets, I would take a big chicken breast and I would beat it with a mallet to make it really small, skinny or thin. I know that sounds weird, but I just, hey Hershey, I just didn't, I don't know, it's just something about it I just didn't like. And so I had slowly but surely started eating like black bean burgers when I would go out, things like that. And like I would even go to like a Subway and get the Veggie Delight salad, which my husband calls it the salad on, it was a Veggie Delight sandwich, but he would call it the salad on a bread thing. So I saw myself pulling back from eating all of that. And then I started doing some reading on the correlation between the standard American diet and chronic diseases and cancer. And then the more I started reading, the more documentaries, like I said, this was 16 years ago, I started watching. I felt as though I just did not want to eat meat, poultry, seafood anymore. I also read a book titled The China Experiment, where the scientists pretty much found like an off-on switch of cancer in mice or rats or whatever. And they would feed them the standard American diet, and then the mice would develop cancer. And then they would start feeding them the more, I think like 90% plant-based diet, and the cancer would go away. So it was like an off and on switch, and I found that very fascinating, even though it was in rats or mice or whatever they used. It was fascinating to me. And so I made the conscious decision to become vegan. And I remember I decided to have my last chicken sandwich on a night where I was out with my girls drinking. Okay, and you know you got to eat a little something. So on my way home, I stopped at Steak and Shake and got a chicken sandwich at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and I bit into it, and it just was like, ugh. I just couldn't eat it, so all I did was eat the fries. And that was my last bout with eating poultry or meat or animal products, put it that way. Now, let's talk about my transition. So transitioning was not really the best way to transition, but that was how I was able to get into it, was eating a lot of the meat substitutes. And there wasn't the variety that we have today. So I would eat like the Morning Star, and that wasn't completely vegan, it was vegetarian, but they have vegan versions now. The Morning Star chicken nuggets, I think tofurkey, luncheon meats. And then I progressively moved away from that and started eating more whole processed foods. One note I do want to say is becoming vegan doesn't necessarily equate to healthy, and it doesn't necessarily equate to being slim or skinny or in shape, because if you eat processed foods in general, regardless if it's plant-based or not, and you eat an abundance of it, you are going to gain weight. You are not going to be healthy. You may develop high cholesterol. You may develop high blood pressure. So I noticed in a lot of Facebook groups that I belong to for plant-based or vegan, someone will post, oh my God, I went vegan and I went to the doctor and my blood pressure went up or my cholesterol went up. And the question that most people ask, sometimes I will, you know, comment, sometimes I won't, because it just depends on if I feel like somebody's gonna be clapping back. I'll say, what are you eating? Are you eating more processed meat substitutes and things of that nature, or are you eating more whole foods? So I just wanted to mention that, because people make the assumption that if you're vegan, you should be slim and you should be healthy, and it depends on if you're a junk food vegan. So most of you know I'm on a fat loss journey. I don't want to say weight because it's fat loss. I'm working on body recon. But I got to the point where I gained weight and gained all this body fat by eating too much processed foods and the meat substitutes to help with trying to cope with life situations. If you look at my not really my first video, but my video on fit to fat and maybe fit again. It's not maybe, I will be fit again. That video kind of explains what I was going through in life that caused me to fall off track. But I digress. So that's sort of how I transitioned, and then started doing more reading and research, and moved toward a whole food plant-based diet. And then don't get it twisted, I'll still indulge, you know, for every once in a while in a meat substitute. You know, like I'll go to Slutty Vegan Honey and get me a little a vegan burger. But yeah, so I will indulge, because it's no different than you who are carnivores, that may be a carnivore, who will eat healthy all throughout the week, and then you go get a pizza or you go to a burger joint. Same thing. It's just a different type of food. A lot of people ask me, how do you get enough protein? Okay. People think protein only comes from animal products. Now, complete proteins come from animal products. I don't want to get into the technical part of that, but there are a lot of but vegetables, beans, things of that nature, tofu, all of that stuff has protein in it. And you can create your own complete protein by doing something like this. Taking some legumes, which are beans, and some rice, which will make up and make a complete protein. It may not be exactly equivalent as, let's say, a piece of steak, but it still protein. So I get my protein from legumes, vegetables. I do a vegan protein shake, you know, to kind of help make sure that my protein intake is up there. So I don't have a problem with getting my protein in. A lot of the meat substitute products like the Impossible Burger, Beyond, they have a substantial amount of protein to eat, but then again, you don't want to eat that all the time because it's processed. So my protein is not a problem, okay? The other thing that I want to talk about is health considerations. So you know, my family, like a lot of families, have a background of, you know, mom and dad may have, you know, high blood pressure, cholesterol. My parents unfortunately died of congestive heart failure. And when I started doing the reading behind, you know, correlation between standard American diet, meaning animal fats particularly, and chronic diseases and cancer, I wanted to do something different than my parents, my siblings, because I'm the only one in the family that's vegan. I wanted to do something different to try and stave off the possibility of getting these chronic diseases. And so that was really my main driving force to do that. The one thing that I had a hard time giving up was cheese. Oh my God. I was a cheeseaholic, okay? If it was fried, right? If it was melted on something, okay? I would eat it on its own. You know how you get the blocks of cheese and just cut it and eat it? That was my jam. So cheese was a hard thing for me to give up. I missed it. That's really the only thing I missed it. I didn't miss chicken. I didn't miss shrimp. I didn't miss pork chops or bacon. I didn't miss any of those things. It was only cheese. And then eventually I was able to curb that desire to eat cheese. And now, in 2023, they have cheese substitutes that are pretty darn good. Excuse me. Now, back in the day, when I first became vegan, dude, they were nasty as all get out. But these days, these companies are doing a good job of making them taste, or palatable, I should say. Let's see. So that was really the only challenge that I ran into, was giving up that cheese. Giving up that cheese, honey. But this journey has been great because it opens up your a whole new world to ways of eating food or trying different foods. Like, I liked international foods before, but now I explore all different types of international foods because a lot of them have vegan options, especially Indian food. I love Indian food. I can always order Asian food or Thai food. I can get something with tofu and vegetables, and I just say no eggs. So there's a favorite restaurant that I have that's an Ethiopian restaurant called Desta. They have a vegan platter that is awesome. So becoming vegan can really open up your world to different types of foods. The one thing I can't get to, I cannot get to no damn mushrooms. I cannot. And I don't know, I know why. It's the texture of mushrooms. And you could do so much with mushrooms, but it's just the texture of it that I don't like. The one thing that kind of bothers me though, and I might get some comments down below about it, is why do people want to down or talk in a negative way about people who are vegan? And maybe they run into people who are trying to push that agenda, because my agenda is more health related, right? That's why I did it. I didn't do it for environmental reasons. Although it is sad on what's happening with our environment. I don't like how animals are being slaughtered, but that wasn't my main, for people to eat. That wasn't my main purpose, as I mentioned before. But I've run into a lot of people like, I don't know why you eating this vegan burger. You just might as well eat another burger. Okay, well, yes, I understand that it's processed, but it doesn't have animal fat. And it doesn't have the animal fat that most likely has hormones and been injected with hormones and, you know, steroids and stuff like that. You know, yes, it may be processed, but it may not come from a chicken, let's say, that was diseased or had cancer, and all they do is cut that piece off. I hate to sound gross, but that's what they do. They'll cut the little infected piece of the chicken or the cow off and still sell you the rest that looks pretty decent. So, you know, I've had several people talk to me about that. Well, why are they making ribs? Why don't you just eat ribs? And my response to that is, okay, so, you know, maybe someone missed the taste of ribs, but they don't want to eat that flesh for some reason, right? Maybe it is environmental reasons. Maybe it's because they don't like that, you know, a pig or a cow was sacrificed for you to, for them to eat that. So maybe they just missed the flavor of it, but they don't want what comes with, right, potentially, with eating, you know, real beef or pork ribs. And why not? Why not explore? Do you want vegans or people to just eat salads and broccoli all the time? Like, what fun is that? Like I said, I mostly stay with a whole food based diet, but if I want some French fries and I want a burger, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get the vegan version of it. So, you know, it's just, it just puzzles me as to why people want to attack, which is a good word, attack people who are vegan or plant-based. No one's questioning, or at least for me, I don't question why you're eating what you're eating, so why are you questioning what I'm eating? Anyway, let me get off this soapbox. So, that is why I became vegan. It was strictly to make sure or improve my health. And to try to, notice I said try, to reduce my chances of getting chronic diseases and cancer. All right? I have no regrets of doing that. I feel like it was one of the best decisions that I made in my life, just like getting my locks was the best decision I made in my life. And I really don't see me going back to that. I tried adding eggs back, and it just, that was like a good maybe 6 years ago, and I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. So there you have it. If you are curious about vegan lifestyle or have any questions, hit me up. All right? So again, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment down below, and hit that notification button. And until next time, people, before I say that, remember to love yourself through the process. Now, until next time, people, peace.